Hey Jews, I want to continue talking about consciousness and the different levels of consciousness. In previous videos, I went through the differences between mineral, plant, chai, Medaber, and the different categories within Medaber, which is speaker. Like chai Medaber, an animal who can speak, and a Medaber chai, a human. And the difference between the Medaber chai and a chai Medaber, which mostly has to do with how we use our speech. If we infuse our speech with intellect and with wisdom and with some sort of searching for meaning of life and purpose, we are an elevated type of creature. We were born, okay? Humans were created in the image of God. That's the information in the Torah, where we know that God created everything in 6 days, and on the seventh he rested. Spiritual. Okay, so the difference between when creating an animal was that God created animals. Great. Then when he created the more elevated form of consciousness, which is both physical and spiritual, he created man by blowing into his nostrils. So like we saw in previous videos, Rabbi Akiva says beloved is man because he was made in the image of God. Beloved is Israel because they are the children of God. There is one more level above speaker, above human, and it is the conscious level that is called Yisrael, the children of God. Okay, so we've gone through all of that. I've talked a lot about being righteous, about learning Torah, improving our, our characteristics, our behaviors, and the importance again of speech. So in this video, I want to talk about Chai Medaber, an animal with the faculty of speech, and why it is in the interest of some controlling groups to keep us and to lower us to this level. Because animals, okay, so we're once again, the ideology nowadays is that we're all the same, animal rights, and we can't eat animals because they have feelings and they're conscious just like we're conscious. We're no better than them. We share the earth with them, blah, blah, blah. No. The real truth is, as we have learned, that there are different levels of consciousness, and each level is actually elevated in the use by becoming useful, okay, for the level above it. So a plant fulfills its purpose basically by being eaten by an animal that will go on to help the animal live and whatever, and that purpose of the animal will be fulfilled, okay, when it is in service to a perfect man, okay? Everything in creation, we're told in the Torah, is elevated in the service of the creation of man, and that's why we have in the Torah stories about Yaakov Avinu when he was leaving Eretz Yisrael, and first he had the dream, the Jacob's ladder. Okay, and all the rocks wanted to be of service to him because he was a perfect man. Yaakov Avinu obtained this elevation, Yisrael. And from him came the nation of Israel. We are a nation because we received the Torah, the laws by which this nation, this elevated conscious nation, okay, keeps in order to keep an awareness of God, so that we will be using our speech that is infused with wisdom and an awareness of God. Okay, and thereby all of creation is elevated in the service. Okay, that's the perfect situation. The Torah has the spiritual information and how the combinations of our reality go together. There's 5 dimensions of our reality. 3 are physical, 1 is spiritual, 1 is time. This is spiritual. We can't get there without understanding the spiritual information which is in the Torah. Okay, but like I said, there's 70 nations. And there's a hierarchy here in the nations, okay? as we can see over the history. And it's in their interest. Now we see a lot of this. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but this is true. Okay, you can go on the websites. You can go on the UN website. You can go on the WEF website. You can go and Google this. What is Agenda 2030? Whatever, all this stuff. What are 15-minute cities? And what are the 19 centers for the fourth industrial revolution? That's on the WEF's website. Okay, and why this Zionist state of Israel is one of the 19 centers for the WEF's fourth industrial revolution. Okay, and the Zionist state of Israel has anti-Torah laws. Anti-Torah, okay? So we can clearly see that the nation of Israel has a lot of challenges in reality to overcome, and that's part of the whole game. I have a series called The Game of Life, okay? But again, we're not going to focus too much on this right now. We're just going to be aware of that, okay? Because when we are aware of something, that enters our consciousness. And now that we're aware of them, we should pay attention, okay? So, but we're going to more talk about, again, animals, because there is an interest to keep us at this level. Animal who can speak. What does that mean? That we're not infusing our speech with intellect and with wisdom and with matters that are greater than just materialism or animal instinct. And now, especially with the internet, we are glorifying our egos. We have maybe social media names or whatever. Now we're not even called by our real names, or we're developing the ego to the extent where it is so materialistic and so animalistic that we are at a very low level of consciousness. And in fact, how much better are we actually than just animals? Okay, and now when you see even things like people, going on the street with their animal fetishes and whatever they're doing, that's all directed, by the way. Okay, so as we fall in our consciousness as the human race, okay, we are more easily controlled, because what's the idea there with animals? You can train an animal, okay? And they are training us to be animals. They're training us to be animals. Can we see that? And it's not that hard to train us, okay? Because they've done a lot of research on our subconsciousness and on our everything. How to control us. What do you do with animals? You can herd them, you can sterilize them, you can you can get them all to act in a certain way. And they've done lots and lots of they have lots of information on how to do that. Okay, so if you also wanted to spend all your time looking at declassified information on all of these experiments that they've done, or all the experiments that the Nazis did, then on psychological and whatnot, you could do that. But you will find that they have perfected a lot of ways to subliminally add things into the media, into the music, into whatever, 5G, waves, whatever that they're doing, that is working on your subconscious or your unconscious mind. And if we are not consciously aware of what we are thinking, what we are saying, how we are acting, we risk falling down to this animal who has the ability to speak. But what are you even speaking about? What are you thinking about? So Rabbi Avigdor Miller, because again, I always recommend Mesilat Yesharim. I'll try and put the list of the books that I always recommend in my description, along with some other videos that I recommend. In this Mesilat Yesharim, which is the pathway of the righteous, okay? Via the Torah, how to elevate yourself at least to a Medaber high, okay? Thinking about what you're saying, making sure that what you're saying isn't just like if an animal could talk, is that what he'd be talking about? Food, reproduction, desires, what you hate, what you like, whatever, okay? But more elevated use of the faculty of speech. So Rabbi Avigdor Miller calls the ego basically a little personality. And what we're trying to uncover and develop is our authentic self, our soul. Okay, so in reality, okay, just like there's space and there's light, which I explain in other videos, and there's time, which is the time of the world, which we're only going to 6,000. We're at 5,785, and it's, by the way, the end times. Okay, but also in our personal, in our own reality, each one of us individually, we have a body, we have a soul, and we have the time of our life. Okay, and we may have other incarnations. Okay, so we could talk about reincarnations, where it's possible, by the way, that depending on what we did as a human, we could fall and come back as a plant. We could fall and come back as an inanimate object. Okay, so it is absolutely necessary that we understand also when we eat. That's why we bless food and stuff, is to release any spirit, any sparks of holiness that may be reincarnated somewhere. So if no one ever eats meat ever again, okay, like they want, it's possible that if someone was reincarnated into an animal, I mean, what releases that and lets their soul go back to the source and come back again, maybe at a higher level, is by blessing that food when you eat it. Or when an animal is used as a sacrifice in the holy temple to God, okay, which we don't have right now. So, so the development of our souls, okay, which is spiritual work that you need to do, and you need to do it not just willy-nilly. I feel this, I'm gonna go out and pray to the moon or whatever. That's avodah zarah. Anything you may feel like you're going to do, no, put that all aside. You're going to learn Torah and elevate yourself in the proper way. It's a guidebook, and you can't stray from this guidebook. Okay, else you'll end up somewhere else that you don't know what you're connecting to. And we develop our authentic selves. Okay, so not overdeveloping our ego and becoming super hypersensitive with our feelings to the point where you can't even take any constructive criticism or feedback. I mean, and I've talked a lot about, defending the tradition. That's another video. And especially about Chassidut, which sounds like a great idea. Just love, just feel, just all do good things, do mitzvah, do all these things. That's not the way. But if you tell anybody that, their feelings are going to get hurt. Okay? Their feelings are going to get hurt because they're all feelings, because they're hypersensitive. When we are told, go through your intellect, learn the laws, follow the laws and become a tzaddik. And once you get there, once you understand through your intellect why everything is so important, in order to raise your level from a Medaber high to Yisrael, somebody with some awareness of God and appreciation of God. All of creation sings praises to God, including the angels. But man, okay, unless they are, and there are certain times that we must do that. So again, I'm just going to contrast Chassidut here for a second. But Chassidut, what's important there in the time? You get up late, okay? Because like I said, all of creation sings praises to God. Like the angels sing praises to God, but they don't sing until Yisrael sings praises to God. So that's why you have to get up very early in the morning for Shacharit, the first prayer where you don't eat or drink, Hasidim, before you pray to God, because you don't feed the animal part of you first and give that life before you infuse your consciousness with some spiritual devotion, some spiritual work, and feed this, and hopefully elevate up here to this. This is the whole point. Okay, so again, so when you overdevelop your little personality, your ego, okay, and your feelings become so important that everybody has their own truth now, okay, which we talked about as a fragmentation of the actual truth, which is contained here. The truth about our history, the truth about the timeline, the truth about our reality, the truth about the spiritual nature of our reality, the truth about physical aspects of our reality and how they all go together. Okay, that's the truth, and it is not divided. It's not different. It's not a bunch of different types of Jews. Okay, it's about the same exact aspiration in the exact same way, following the Torah. So for that also, we have usually Hebrew names. Okay, and we know that one of the things when the Jews came out of Israel, that we knew that the tribe of Levi was never enslaved in Egypt. And one of the things that we're told there is they never called their children by anything but their Hebrew name. Now we learn that when a child is born, the mother and the father, being that there are only two genders, okay, have a child. Okay, so the mother and the father basically create this physical body for the child, and then God puts into that physical body a spiritual soul. Okay, a spiritual soul capable of reaching this conscious level of awareness, okay, of God. And we're told that the God inspires the mother and the father to name the child a certain name that is attached to your soul, and that it is good to hear that name, for you to hear that name as it awakens your soul. Our soul sometimes can be, I mean, this is beyond the scope of this this video, but let's just say sleeping, okay? And that's why at the beginning, after October 7th, I started talking a lot about a Jewish awakening, okay? Because all the things that happen in our reality are basically to awaken us to the fact that we are the nation of Israel. We're not supposed to mix in. We're not supposed to assimilate. We're not supposed to be called by little personality names. Okay, so if, for example, you know people, I'm just going to use an example, where their name is Charlotte, let's just say, okay, but their Hebrew name is Hannah. Okay, but you're never going to hear your Hebrew name usually, unless you make an effort. When I started to do tshuva, to repent, I have another video I'm going to link here called Joy in a Time of Chaos. Okay, it's so important. You have to understand that you need to repent and to start following the Torah in order to have any access to the information therein of the Torah, the spiritual information, the real spiritual information, and how to raise your consciousness, hopefully somewhat, at least becoming less of an animal who can talk and more of a human being created in the image of God. Okay, so your Hebrew name is one thing that's very important, because like we said here, when they want to keep you down like an animal, what do you have here? Numbers, usually. That's why in the Holocaust they didn't tattoo their name on there. They tattooed a number. Okay, just like a herd of animals that have numbers. And we heard out of Bibi Netanyahu's mouth during COVID, and again, just let's remind ourselves that the Zionist state of Israel, with its anti-Torah laws, okay, in the Holy Land of Israel, is one of the 19 centers for the Fourth Industrial Revolution of the WEF, which is part of the New World Order, Agenda 2030, okay? So Bibi Netanyahu, during COVID, said that everything in Israel is tied to this ID number, Teudat Zahut, okay? And literally, you can't do anything without your Teudat Zahut, okay? So they're data mining all of that information, okay? Collecting on us in order to train us, okay? let's just say even in terms of commerce, okay? They want to make, they want to sell cereal, they want to sell oil, they want to, whatever they want to sell. They train the mass, they market in a way that trains us to think, to buy those things, to use those things, okay? But they can do it for other reasons also. Okay, I'm using that example because how did it come about that we're all using canola oil and whatnot? How are they getting us to all to eat manufactured fake meat? Okay, because they're very aware of everything that we're doing. They're data mining all of our stuff. And in Israel, for example, that's tied to your identification number, your ID number, your Teudat Zaut. Okay, and so Bibi Netanyahu there said that because everything is tied to this Teudat Zaut number, that we have a lot of information for Pfizer that we can offer up, and we can be a test. We can be a test area here in the Zionist state of Israel with the holy nation of Israel. Okay, we'll just experiment on the Jews again, like animals, and we'll see what happens there. Okay, so animals can be trained, animals can be herded, animals can be led in whatever directions, okay? And this ID number can also become your social credit score eventually, determining if you are a free-range Chai Medaber animal who can speak, or perhaps a caged animal who can speak. Okay, so that's the goal, is to keep you here. Keep you developing your ego, keep you hypersensitive with your feelings, when also in the Torah and the Shema, which we are commanded to say every day, is Lo tatoru achrei levavchem v'achrei einechem. Don't go after your heart and after your eyes. I want that. And one of the strategies that the Rambam says is when you've gone too much over to one side, okay? So maybe you've been vain all your life or whatever. You've put a very big emphasis on how you look, on the type of clothes you wear, on your hairstyle, your makeup, on all of that stuff, which is not modest, usually. Go in the other direction, and go far in the other direction, okay? And I'm just speaking from personal experience that I will share share with you, that when you're breaking down your ego a little bit, okay, when you're humbling yourself, that's a good thing to do, not to wear makeup. I used to like to wear, expensive, designer clothes, whatever. I literally threw them all in the garbage. Okay, and it doesn't matter to me what I'm wearing, as long as it's modest. Did I go a little bit too far on the one hand? Well, my neighbor called me brave, that I don't wear any makeup, so maybe. But again, we have to find strategies, okay, to become more aware. Okay, one way to become more aware is to pay attention and maybe stop listening to music, especially music with words. Okay, because that is entering your subconscious mind a lot of times. What you want is silence. What you want is to be able to control this stream of subconscious thoughts or unconscious thoughts are entering your mind and distracting you, and instead have a focused awareness on what you're saying, what you're thinking at all times. Okay, so the idea here is that if we are animals who can speak, we are doing things that are all physical. We are thinking about things that are all physical or materialistic or part of our desires. We're allowing ourselves to daydream. We're allowing ourselves to fantasize. We are developing our egos and our little personalities to fit in maybe to society, which, by the way, is going just straight down to chaos, as you may be able to see around you. So what we want to do is to raise our consciousness level, and at least consider, what does it mean to be human? Why are humans different than animals? What's the difference between Medaber Chai and a Chai Medaber? What are you thinking of? What are you speaking of? Okay? What's your name? This is a great reminder to wake up your soul and strive to become a high level of consciousness, Israel. Okay, so hopefully that gives us other reference points. Sometimes when we're speaking about the ideal, it's difficult from sometimes where we are, okay? And when we look around us and try to understand our reality and understand different groups that are literally treating us like animals, why is that? How are they doing that? What can we do? Well, we can make sure that we are in control, at least, of our conscious minds, and pay attention to what we are saying, to what we are thinking about, and to try to move towards a higher level of consciousness where we're not being trained like animals.